How you doing, everybody? ABC Action News Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips, doing my best to rid the world of misinformation. That's all I got to say. I have probably picked up 20 or 30 messages from folks out on whatever social media platform you happen to be following. A lot of them are on TikTok, saying how, and they use the Windy app, which is nothing more. The Windy app, great app. I mean, it's just an app that uses all the same data that a lot of the other models have, whether it's the GFS, the Euro, the HAFS, the HWRF, whatever. It's just a bunch of models. And there's one particular run where it takes Margot and takes Lee, and some interaction between the two, which is actually a really common thing. And when the wind barbs look like they're combining, it looks like this giant storm the size of the entire Atlantic Ocean. I've probably had about 20 or 30 messages from folks saying, what do you think about this? It's a bunch of nonsense. Look, storms interact all the time. Sometimes, without getting too sciencey on you here, they dance around each other. It's called the Fujiwara effect, and they actually pinwheel around each other. In this particular storm, let's go over a couple of things. One, it's not a threat to Florida. It's not a threat to the southeast. You look at that straight line, you're like, well, what are you talking about? It's going right, look at the line, it's going right to Florida. If it were to be a straight line, but it's not. It's going to curve. It will curve by the middle of next week. Now, how much it curves and how long it takes for that curve could have an impact on Bermuda, maybe even northern New England, or maybe Nova Scotia. That is certainly still in play. But turning into this giant megastorm that takes over the entire Atlantic Ocean, it's just nonsense, all right? Sometimes in the wintertime, you get double-barreled low-pressure system. There's a transfer of energy, and sometimes there's a little increase in strength of the stronger one from the weaker one. The perfect storm back in 1991, kind of similar situations. But trust me, Hollywood took a lot of liberties in that one with the meteorological background on it. So the bottom line is, yes, you're going to have Lee going north. It's going to be relatively close to Bermuda. It'll probably strengthen again, by the way, in a couple of days. It's going through some shear right now and some drier air. But it is not a threat to the southeast. But what is a threat is the high surf. Huge waves on the East Coast from Florida all the way up and down the eastern seaboard. And by the end of next week, and it's going to be a slow mover, we're going to be talking about this thing for the next 10 days. At some point, a week from now, maybe even up to 10 days out, we're going to be looking at a storm that's going to be somewhere around the east coast of northern New England. Hopefully, it'll shoot the gap between a developing trough and a strong trough, which is why it is going to curve, and an area of high pressure. Or it may impact a little bit more along the coast. Not for Florida, not for Georgia, not South Carolina, not the perfect storm, not a mega storm across the entire ocean. I mean, I've said this a lot. You know what? Pick your sources. We're not going to get it right all the time, but I'll tell you one thing. This ain't going to turn into that, and it's not going to Florida or the southeast. We'll be updating 24/7 as always. Feel free to drop your questions by. We're always doing our best to get some decent information out there to help keep you and your family safe right on through this hurricane season. You guys have a great weekend.